What's up, everybody? This is Suleiman from SAZ. This is the channel where we talk about the money in business and the business of money. And today we're going to be talking about how you can create your financial strategy for 2022. So keep watching. So what's a strategy? In simple terms, a strategy is an action plan for you to meet your goals. You can think of a strategy like a set of decision-making rules that you need to abide to in order for you to meet your goal. Before I explain further what a strategy is and how we can formulate one for ourselves, let me show you something. So this is a typical chessboard, and this is one of the best strategy board games out there in the world. It has been in use for more than 800 years, and there's a reason to that. I'm gonna show you what we call a scholar's mate. It's one of the easiest checkmates that you can ever do. So when you're looking at a chessboard like this, you only have one strategy in mind, and that's capturing the enemy king. So I'm gonna show you some moves of how we can do that in a very efficient manner. So white plays e4. So white plays e4. The enemy plays e5 to block him out. White plays the bishop to c4. The enemy plays a5. Then white sends the queen to f3. The enemy decides to send the pawn to harass the bishop at b5, and at this point a good chess player will tell you that the game is already done, because what's left is that the queen just needs to capture at f7, and that's a checkmate, and the game is done. White has won. So why did I need to show you this? It's because in a strategy there are three key phases that you need to take into consideration. The first one is, where are you and what do you have at your disposal? The second thing that you need to figure out is, where do I want to be in order to meet my goals? And the third and most important thing that you need to do is figuring out how you're gonna get there and achieve your goals. So we already know that strategies involve three steps: where you are currently, where you need to go in the future, and how do we get there. Now, let's start with, where are you? In strategy, we refer to this as a situational analysis. In a situational analysis, you look at yourself, or if it's your organization, and then you try and understand where you are and what capabilities and resources do you have now. So a good framework that you can use to do that is the simple SWOT analysis that you are taught. So the SWOT analysis is a framework and a tool that is used to conduct a situational analysis. The SWOT analysis is an acronym for the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you need to put down that quadrant and start writing, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are your opportunities, and what are your threats. These two are internal, these two are external, and it's from the external environment that you get this, while these are from within you. So let's give an example of somebody who wants to become a fitness trainer and how they will go about in doing the SWOT analysis for themselves. So the first strength is that they have the skill to do the training for people. The second strength they have is that they have a good network of people who actually need these services. But one of the weaknesses that they have is that they're not certified. And because they're not certified, you understand that there's a problem to reach more people. Another weakness that they have is that they don't have a lot of time, because maybe they're working a day job, so they only have time during the evenings and weekends. But opportunities are there in the market. because there's a growing trend of people who are now being health conscious, and they would love to have a personal trainer to train them and achieve their goals. But then again, there's the constant threat of the pandemic, and these interactions of one-to-one interactions are not allowed per the health ministry regulations. So this now becomes the threat to his business. So with that in mind, now we have understood where this person is, or where you are if you have conducted your SWOT analysis. The second thing we want to do is to go now the other side and think about where do we want to be. So for this individual, they want to have their own platform whereby they offer the services of fitness training to people. So that's their end goal. Now, in order to have that end goal in mind, you need to define it very clearly. If you have the numbers that you need, put it there. If you want to have a savings of about, 200,000 by the end of the year, then write it down, visualize it, and make sure that your goal is reachable, attainable, and realistic. So a strategy has 3 distinct phases. The first one is the strategy formulation, then implementation, and lastly, the control. So let's start with strategy formulation. So in the strategy formulation, this is where you actually think of how you're gonna go from point A to point B, B being your goals that you want to reach. So you need to think exactly what routes you are going to take. So let's take an example of the person who wants to become a fitness trainer. So in this phase of strategy formulation, he needs to filter out all the other strategies and remain with the best strategy that can help him achieve the goals. So let's look at an example of the budget that he has, the time that he has, and the resources that he has. So for this particular person, because he doesn't have the time, it will be wise for him to have something like a boot camp in his local community over the weekends. Because he doesn't have a big budget to do it, so he needs to think of things that won't cost him as much. And the resources, maybe he doesn't have a lot of resources, so it will be easier for him to try and post it in his own social media, or even open up social media pages for his small business. Now, as we have done this for this fictitious person who wants to start a boot camp or a fitness training service, think of it for yourself. Think about your personal finances. How can you strategize in order to meet your financial goals by the end of the year? Let's say you don't have a job right now. What will you do, or what strategy are you going to formulate in order for you to have a job or a steady income or multiple sources of revenue by the end of the year? So this is an active approach towards strategy formulation. Now let's go to the second part. This is actually the strategy implementation. Now the strategy implementation, this is where the perspiration is. This is where you'll actually sweat, because this entails the day-to-day activities that you need to do in order to reach your goals. Now, when you have your goal at the end of the year, let's say you want 200,000 in your account, or you want to start a business, or you just want a steady source of revenue for yourself, then it might seem far-fetched or very hard to reach. But at the end of the day, you need to break it down into small phases, bite size, that you'll be handling day in, day out. So for example, we go back to the trainer. He will be needed to be posting about his services on a regular basis on his social media platforms, so that people can get to know that he offers these services and they can apply and pay him for these services. So at the end of the day, the strategy implementation, these are the things that you need to do every day. The last phase of strategy is the control. Now think of the control as the monitoring and evaluation part. So you said I want 200,000. It's already mid-June. You are there, you don't have the 100,000, which is half of what you need, being that you're already half the year in. So what do? Yeah, so do you bump up marketing? Do you increase the jobs that you're taking in? What do you need to do so that you steer back your strategy into the direction you need it to be? So that's the monitoring and evaluation basically for your strategy. So at this point, you already understand what a strategy is, and you already understand the phases that you need to take in order to formulate and create your own strategies. And strategy is important for you because, first of all, it helps you in planning, it helps you in coordinating your activities, and thirdly, it's gonna give you a sense of direction in order for you to meet your goals. So, what are your financial goals for 2022? Comment them below and we'll hold you accountable next year same time to see if you actually achieve them. If you found this video helpful, please give a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, share this with anyone who you think might benefit from this video. And until next time, build your future today.